one big responsibility for all of us is to actually explain to people what is what. What is central bank digital currency? What is stable coin? What is the differentiation between real stable coins and non-stable stable coins? And what is crypto? We haven't done our job. When we look at stable coins, this is the area where the big mess happened. If a stable coin is backed with assets 1-to-1, it is stable. When it is not backed with assets, but it is promised to deliver 20% return, it's a pyramid. What happens to pyramids? Eventually, they fall to pieces. And that is where regulation, Christine is talking about this segment, but regulating the stable coins, ensuring interoperability of CBDCs, and recognizing that Bitcoin may be called coin, but it's not money. All of this we need to work on.
Welcome to the Cryptoteacher. And guys, I come back with that video just to make you think. And we have the IMF says that some stable coins are Ponzi's. Now guys, we know what the Fed did. They printed 20% of all money in existence in 1 year. And we know the banks are the biggest what? Yes, I'm going to say it this time. They're the biggest drug dealing, money laundering, gun running son of a guns. But we know these stable coins give the Fed even more control. They'll be able to print out of thin air with no cost. They'll be able to program them at no cost. And getting back to the Fed has clearly stated again they're not going to start raising rates. And then plus, we know June, they start running off this balance sheet. They're going to bring America to Babylon to its knees. And then we know China, the dragon, is going to rise. But we know we're waiting on that main event. It is Shemitah year. We hear those drums are beating. And we know the NWO works off problem, reaction, solution. And the solution is robots, algorithms, and drones, while the sheep go inside the metaverse. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the New World Order, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
The minutes from the last Fed meeting pointed to more rate hikes that could go beyond market expectations. Steve Leisman joins us right now with more. And Steve, I don't know whether I believe this or not, because we've seen a lot of different data since these minutes were first taken.
Yeah, Becky, overall, I think one way to think about it is equity markets like what they heard in the minutes of the Fed's May meeting. It rallied modestly after their release. You got a little more rally this morning. But it might have been a case of wishful hearing here. The minutes showed widespread committee support for 50 basis point rate hikes at the next two meetings. That was after they raised 50 at that meeting, and then moving expeditiously to neutral. But commentators seized on the possibility of a pause after the Fed gets to neutral. The minutes said, quote, many participants judged that expediting the removal of policy accommodation would leave the committee well positioned later this year to assess the effects of policy firming. That's Fed speak for, hey, maybe we're going to chill for a little bit. And yet there also seemed to be agreement on the committee for the Fed to go beyond neutral, which is usually put in the range of 2.25% to 2.5%, to a rate that acts to deliberately slow the economy. Quote, a restrictive stance of policy may well become appropriate, depending upon the evolving economic outlook and the risks to the outlook. The minutes did not provide any hint of how restrictive policy could become, only that participants see upside risk to inflation from the Ukraine war, the China lockdown, and rising wages. So the outlook for Fed rate hikes eased back somewhat in futures markets. The highest point on the curve now is May 2023. It had been in August. It's now at 286. That August contract had traded as high as 340. So almost 50 basis points has come out of the outlook for the Fed. Hard to square all this except to say the Fed may well pause to assess its progress this fall or ease back to 25 basis points hikes. But it's just as likely it keeps marching rates upward well into 2023. Becky?
And Kyle, it's good to have you here this morning. I suspect we kind of know the answer to that. Paul Ryan actually just told Becky a moment ago in that interview he thinks that Powell might have been held off from tackling it sooner because he hadn't been reappointed yet.
Well, yeah, I don't know if that's the case. Like there are 18 people that essentially set monetary policy for the world. And while their knee-jerk reaction to the COVID outbreak was, let's say, necessary, but in the end, clearly printing 40% more money than was in circulation in the first place was a little too much. And now they're really struggling with how to take that back and how to take it off the balance sheet at the same time in which there are two things that they can't change. They can't change the global supply problem for hydrocarbons, which has been based upon, call it, a decade of bad policy, and they can't change the price of food. So we're going to see energy and food prices march higher over the next year. And we're going to see the economy cool off. And you already see Fed Funds futures telling you that they're going to have to cut rates sometime in mid-2023. And I agree with that.
We're going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leveraged to technology. And I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
This effort, and China has big plans for this. They intend to seed their digital yuan into the global environment by giving it away to visitors at next winter's Olympics. When they arrive at the airport, they're going to get yuan digital wallets. They're going to receive digital yuan. They're going to use it throughout their visits to Beijing, and then they're going to take it back to their home countries. They see this as a huge advantage. Why? Because who controls the underlying protocols, who controls the underlying standards of the future of money will control the future of money.
Most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids' books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Grandma Tam save New York from COVID-33. Part 3. King Joshua and Grandma Tam goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.